Hello, everyone. Welcome to RPA's webinar for our 2022 Capitol Hill Day. I'm at this point, I'm trying to bring up my slide deck, which doesn't seem to be showing up. But anyway, we're really happy to have you here with us. What we're going to do today is actually, let me focus on that. We're really happy to have you all with us. Thank you so much for participating in our little event here. We're going to start off with a presentation from Lincoln Clapper of Advocacy Associates, and he's going to teach us how to use the platform. It's a really amazing platform that they have. So with that, and then I'm going to go through, we're going to have a word or two from Richard Knight of AAKP, and then I'm going to give a presentation on our priorities and how to do Hill Day and that sort of thing. So with that, Richard, are you on? Are you able to speak right now?
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I can speak freely. Yes, I can. Would you just like a few words about this morning?
Yes, please. Thank you, Richard.
Well, listen, everybody. As Rob said, I echo his thoughts in terms of having you join us. This is important, and this is what it's all about for us as patients working with the doctors to go up there to pursue our common objectives. So I just want to say thanks to everybody for coming out. We're going to go through a process here, and Rob's going to give a presentation, and I'll make a couple of comments about some nuances for AAKP, and we're ready to go. I'm looking forward to the technology. By the way, we've been doing this for a while with RPA. I came across some older pictures when I was much younger, and just meeting Rob. So we're excited for this continued relationship. Rob, I'll give it back to you so we can go ahead and get started. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, I got my slides together, everybody. So, you can teach old dogs new tricks here. But anyway, who's with us? Nephrologists, practice executives and/or managers, and kidney patients and/or relatives. Of course, we appreciate AAKP with us. And this year we have 26 states and DC represented, and that works out to be about, I believe it was 63 participants as of this morning. So once again, thank you all so much. We will be talking again. This was the slide I was trying to remember from memory a couple of minutes ago, but we're going to talk about the platform. Lincoln's going to do that for us, discuss the Hill environment, the 2022 legislative priorities we have, the logistics and what to do and what to expect. And here I'm going to talk about our schedules a little bit, which will be going out later today, next steps and follow-up. And Jennifer Raitt from AAKP is going to give us a presentation with some tips on social media. And with that, I am going to ask Lincoln to share his screen. I don't know if that means I have to stop my share, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then hopefully Lincoln can pick it up and share his screen.
Yep, all good. And I'll pull that up now. There we go. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
All right. Good afternoon, I guess it is noon now. So good afternoon, everybody. My name's Lincoln Clapper. I'm part of the Advocacy Associates team here in DC, and I just want to spend a few minutes to walk you all through how you're going to be accessing your schedules for your virtual event this year. For those of you that did this event last year, a lot of this will look familiar, but again, just wanted to sort of cross T's and dot I's ahead of your event. So starting off, you all will be getting an email from us later today, and if you're watching this as a recording, this is also Friday, May 6th. So you'll be getting an email from us this afternoon. It'll come from advocacyday@advocacyassociates.com. Within that email will be all the information you'll need to access your schedule. So you'll see a link in the upper right corner, which will take you to your login page. And then there will also be credentials in there for you to access it. So Your username is going to be your email address, which we'll provide for you, and then a temporary password, which our system will automatically generate for you as well. So when you click on that link to access your page, you'll be taken to a login page that'll look similar to this. And that's where you're going to want to enter those credentials. So put your email in the email field and that temporary password that we provided to you. Once you've done that, click the sign in button, and then you'll be prompted to change this to your own password. Once you've met all those requirements, you'll see all the check marks turn green. You can click send, and then you'll be good to go. You'll be launched into your schedule. This will be the first and only time that you'll need to do this on your device. So if you're already on the computer or laptop or tablet or whatever you plan on taking these meetings from, you will remain logged in once you've completed this process. So every time you revisit your schedule, you'll just be launched right into it. It'll be very much like an app on your phone where you stay logged in. Now, if you're trying to access from a different device or you become logged out and you forgot your password, you can easily reset it. There will be a forgot password link on the main page. Just follow the instructions. It'll be like any other password reset process you've ever done online before. Now, if you're having any issues getting in, there will be a contact link in the that email from us, where you can reach out to our support team, and we'll reach out to you on an individual basis if you're having any technical issues getting in at that point. Now, once you're logged in, you'll see a schedule that'll look similar to this, or a format that'll look similar to this. All of your confirmed meetings will have a time. Anything that's still pending will show as TBD. We may be, rescheduling the time. We maybe still be working on the time with that office. Very common to have a few of these on your schedule still at this point. So don't be alarmed if you see anything that's still pending. Once they do become confirmed, however, moving forward, now that you've logged in, you'll get an automated email from our system letting you know that it's been confirmed. So you'll be very much in the loop over the next week or so leading up to the day of your event. Now, this is a new compared to what we had last year, but all times are going to be shown in the time zone you're located in. So long story short, it will automatically adjust to your location, and you do not need to do any time conversions. It will automatically adjust based on your location. Now, to get the information for each meeting, you're going to want to click on it. So anywhere within that red box is fine. It'll launch you into that specific meeting dashboard. You'll see the time and date again at the top, followed by who you're actually going to be speaking with in the office, whether it's the staff, member of Congress, or both. If there's been a meeting lead assigned to your meeting, you'll see that person's name displayed here. If not, then this area is going to be blank. To access the video component for the meeting, you're going to want to click on that green Join Online Meeting button. It'll open up the Zoom platform, I would say 99% of the time. There's a few offices that may use WebEx or Teams, etc., but the same concept applies. Just click the button, it'll open up whatever is needed for you to join. Now, if you can't access via video, you can of course dial in. You'll have that option as well. Just follow the instructions in this area if you need to dial into the meeting. All your talking points will be in the talking points module here, followed by all of your documents in the documents module here. Just click on each document. It'll open up in a separate tab. You don't have to download anything. It'll allow you to toggle back and forth between your schedule, your documents, and your Zoom platform all at the same time. Beneath that will be the attendees section, which will show all the attendees who are going to be in that meeting. There may also be some relevant contact information there for you to reach out to each other outside the platform if you prefer. You can also turn this information off if you go to your name in the upper right corner and then click the privacy tab, and you can hide that information if you prefer. You can also chat with each other with our peer-to-peer chat function. So if you click on the blue bubble, you can send direct messages to each other. If somebody messages you this way, you actually will get a notification about that as well. On the left-hand side is our report form area. The first one is the check-in feature. Basically, this is an attendance report that we'll be pulling after the event. So please click that button either before or after each meeting so we can validate that you were there. You also have the ability to send a thank you email to the office once the meeting concludes. This will pull up an automated script that's already been crafted for you by the government affairs team. You can, of course, personalize it and customize it however you see fit, but a lot of that work will already be done for you. It also will automatically pull the staffer's email for who you met with, so you'll have that contact information handy. You can open and send this in one of two ways. Click that blue open email button at the top, which will pull up whatever your native platform is on your device. So for me, I have Microsoft Outlook. That would open up an Outlook email for me to send. If you're using Gmail or Yahoo or something web-based, you can copy all this information with those 3 copy clipboard buttons beneath it, and then paste it into the email client of your choice. The meeting report form will pull up a specific list of questions you'll need to answer after each meeting. So go through and answer those one by one. When you get to the bottom, you'll see a submit button, and then you can, it'll validate that you submitted it properly. And then you can navigate your way out of there. The take notes feature is basically a blank notepad. Rather than using pen or paper, you can take those freehand style notes here. It's just a nice way to sort of keep everything in one place. You don't need to utilize it, it's optional, but it really is an extra resource for you. Beneath that is the ability to select if the member of Congress attended or did not attend. So please mark one of those options as well. This is a critical data point we just try to get. We can only get from you because they're the attendees in that meeting. So mark one of those options as well once the meeting concludes. And then for you social media fans, you can access your Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn as well. Just click on one of those, whichever you prefer, and you can drop a post on one of those platforms. The meetings tab will take you back to that home page, and you can navigate your way to that next meeting on your schedule. The legislators tab will take you to an area where you can view bios for everybody you're meeting with, such as this. It'll also have links to all their social media pages as well, if you'd like to explore those further. The bills tab will highlight any relevant bills you're tracking for this event. It'll also show that member's vote history of that bill at the bottom if you're tracking any bills. If you're not tracking any bills, then this area is going to be blank. The news tab will pull any relevant news articles they've been mentioned in recently. You can read about that online. And the committees tab will show all the committee assignments that member currently sits on. The messages tab will take you to an area where you can view those direct peer-to-peer messages between yourself and other advocates. The directory is a master directory of everyone in the event, so you can contact people outside your meetings. And the support tab will be your best friend for anything and everything support moving forward. So whether it's scheduling support, technical support, you can't make a meeting, which we absolutely need to know about, all of that, run that through support. It's really going to be the fastest, most efficient way to get any question resolved. The More tab is basically a drop-down menu of all the content I've already reviewed. There may also be some extra material in there, like additional resources that may link out to other websites. There may be an overall event feedback survey. If you're tracking any bills, this is another area where you can view those bills. It'll pull up a list of all the bills that you're tracking. If you click into each bill, it'll show you the co-sponsors, the status of the bill, the text of it. You can get a whole host of information there. But again, if you're not tracking any bills, then this area is going to be blank.
And Lincoln, can I jump in for just a quick second? Go back to that. Last year, folks were asking about the co-sponsor status for the people who they were meeting with. And this is where you find that, right, Lincoln? Because
correct.
I think there was some misunderstanding that. Sorry.
No, yeah, go to More, click on the bills, and then you'll see your bills there. If you click into each bill, you'll be able to look up co-sponsors and sponsors there on the tab.
Yeah, there was some misunderstanding last year that wasn't available, and it is actually part of the platform. So
yeah, yep.
Sorry, Lincoln.
All good. Yep, we want to make sure we have the right information there. Okay, so last slide here. Again, check your spam or junk folder if you feel like you haven't gotten that email from us by, say, close of business today. Our domain is at advocacyassociates.com if you want to search for that in your inbox. We're asking everybody to get into their meetings about 10 minutes prior to the start time on your schedule, just to make sure you touch base about roles and just get all of that squared away before the office joins so you can start on time. All times on your schedule, again, are going to be shown in the time zone you're located in when viewing it. And so again, you won't need to do any time conversions. You're going to get a reminder email 1 hour prior to each meeting throughout the course of the day. This will just help keep you on track. It'll also include a link to your schedule in it, which will help make it easy to get in and out of your schedule. If the office doesn't join within 10 minutes, let us know. There's a help number in the support tab to call for a really time-sensitive issue like that. But please do give them a 10-minute buffer to join before letting us know. These meetings may go anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes, so just have your talking points prepared accordingly. I know a lot of that will be covered here later. Any changes to your schedule, the day of the event is going to come through over email, so just make sure you're monitoring that pretty closely. And these last three, I think we're all experts at this point, but just make sure you're in an area with good Wi-Fi connection, as again, most, if not all of your meetings will have a video component to them. Mute your microphone whenever you're not speaking, and just ensure you have an appropriate background. So that being said, very much looking forward to working with you all again this year on this event. And I'll turn it back over to Rob from here.
Lincoln, one question did come in the chat. If somebody who was with us last year asked if I used the platform last year, are my notes saved or available?
They are saved, actually. So if you go into those the meetings that you'll have this year, and you click on that Take Notes feature, you'll see your notes that you've logged from last year in there.
Okay. I am going to start sharing my screen. Can people see that?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you. So anyway, we're going to move right along. Thank you very much, Lincoln. And if folks have other questions for Lincoln, you can run them through me, and I'll make sure that we get responses to you on how the platform works. But we really got rave reviews on the platform last year. So hopefully there'll be no problems using the platform. Anyway, so with the platform overview complete, I'm going to move into the current Hill environment. And of course, my slides aren't working right now. There we go. So there we go. There we go. So I don't think this is news to anyone who's been observing Washington in the last few years, but there's a bitter existential toxicity in politics that's something of a way of life on Capitol Hill right now. And there are very tight margins in both the House and the Senate, and this makes legislating very difficult. However, the good news is that the bitterness is somewhat limited to the big overarching issues. There's plenty of bipartisan support for more parochial issues. SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedure. This is kind of how Washington's been for a long time. And you can look at the examples that, that we're going to talk about in a second, like living organ donation or telehealth bills. You get interesting bedfellows on all those in terms of, co-sponsors. So, of course, this is an election year, so we're going to have a compressed calendar. So that, I would expect there'll be little activity in the summertime through the election. And then, of course, December will be crazy. This is kind of the way of life for people in Washington these days, that not much gets, or not as much as should, gets done in the fall, and then December's crazy after Thanksgiving. However, one point to make is that is kind of conventional wisdom. There's always things, external events like what's going on in Ukraine, or there could be a COVID spike, or, this week the Supreme Court news came out and that kind of set everybody off. So those are the types of things that could kind of upset the apple cart in terms of schedule and make it such that other things happen out of what we might be expecting. So with regard to RPA's 2022 legislative priorities, living organ donation has been on there for years, the bill that's been out there, and it will continue to be. Enactment of legislation that permanently extends flexibilities on telehealth. So we've all been living under this world for a couple of years now. And while it's not perfect, I think there's a lot of things that people really want to retain moving forward. And it's funny, I've actually been on calls with CMS staff recently who have made statements like, we know we can't go back type things. So I think telehealth is around to stay. It's just, how do they get it worked out after the public health emergency ends? There's an omnibus kidney disease bill out there right now that comes out every year. I'll talk about that in a moment. And there's also a staff-assisted home dialysis bill as well that we'll give some details on too. With regard to living organ donation, those are the bill numbers right now. It was introduced in February of last year. It sort of does the same things that all of the other iterations of this bill has done over the last 10 years or so. The language is evolving a bit, but the bill is progressing, and you can see the co-sponsor numbers there. The co-sponsor numbers, for what it's worth, are as of yesterday. So hopefully those are all up to date. And although hopefully not, maybe we gain some co-sponsors overnight, and that would be a great thing too. Moving on to, my slides work better sometimes than others. Moving on to telehealth, the primary vehicle that RPA is supporting is the Connect Act. And one of the big things that has to happen in telehealth broadly is that they have to move the restrictions on originating site and geography to allow the use of telehealth broadly. Originating site is where the patient is, and there were a lot of limitations on that back in the day, like the patient's home was not an approved originating site, for instance. And the geographic restrictions were such that it would only really work in very rural areas. And they've gotten rid of, and there's a move to get rid. They've gotten rid of that during the public health emergency, and there's a move to make that permanent. I'm not going to read all of this, but the bottom bullet there says, do not interfere with current home dialysis interactions, and other telehealth bills do. And what we mean by that is there's a couple of telehealth bills that remove the requirement for a quarterly face-to-face visit between the nephrologist or nephrology professional and the patient. And RPA believes that this requirement should stay in place, that periodically home dialysis patients and their nephrologists should be seeing each other. Quarterly sounds about right to us, and that is what current law is, so we don't think that should change, but there are some bills that would get rid of that requirement. We oppose those movements. You can see the bill numbers and the sponsors there. And just an editorial comment at the bottom here. In my opinion, this is the likeliest telehealth vehicle or template. Excuse me, that's a bit of a crapshoot. I'm sure there's going to be quite the negotiating process as time moves on as to into whatever telehealth legislation that eventually gets passed. And just for what it's worth, the Biden administration really wants this to happen. They want Congress to make some decisions on this and not leave everything to them. If that's what happens, then these public health emergencies are probably going to it's probably going to get extended over and over again, because I think the administration would say there's only so much they can do without something being put into statute. I made reference to the omnibus kidney bill here. This is the Chronic Kidney Disease Improvement in Research and Treatment Act. I'm not going to read everything that it does there, but it increases access to the Medicare kidney disease education benefit. People who are familiar with this know that it only applies to stage 4 patients and not stage 5 patients, which, as I say in these talks often, is as dumb as dishwater. It should be applicable to stage 5 patients and probably some late stage 3 patients as well. It also expands the wellness benefit to include KDE screening, guarantees access to Medigap policies to all ESRD beneficiaries, does a lot of good things. You can see that the co-sponsor numbers there are not high. And I think the idea is that, this bill itself will probably never really be, this bill itself will probably never be enacted by itself. It kind of serves as a bit of a platform for good provisions that would be positive for kidney care to happen. So that's why that's there. I'm gonna, you know what? I've been going through this quicker than I should have. Richard, do you want to make some commentary about, say, the living organ donor bill or the telehealth bill, or do you want me to wait, or do you want to wait till the end?
What works best for you, Rob?
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, why don't you let me just run through. I think I have about 2 more slides on specific pieces of legislation, and we'll do it that way.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, sir. So the staff-assisted home dialysis bill, this came out last fall. You can see what it does there, pays for in-home assistance by staff of the dialysis facility that are getting home therapies. There is not a Senate companion right now, 17 House co-sponsors. And this is the type of bill that it's going to take a long time for this to make it through the legislative process. We're talking probably several Congresses minimum, but the proponents of this bill wanted to put it out there to make sure it was there. 2 more slides on relevant issues, and then I'll turn it over to Richard. So one thing that's going on in the Medicare fee schedule, there are substantial cuts underway that affect dialysis vascular access. In the Medicare physician fee schedule, there's a proposed cut related to what they call clinical labor inputs. And it's a 5% reduction every year for 4 years. So it comes up to 20%. Now, it says here not a bad thing per se, only because it hadn't been updated in 20 years. And of course, it's a good idea to use updated inputs, but because of the budget neutrality orientation of the fee schedule, it does end up in this 20% cut over 4 years. And of course, harming access to dialysis vascular access services during this time when we're trying to focus on improved kidney care is just makes no sense. So so the ask here is to urge Congress to reverse the clinical input, labor input changes in the fee schedule. And then finally, the two other things people should talk about if they have time is to increase funding for kidney health research by providing an increase of $632 million to NIDDK. NIDDK is the institute that houses kidney disease at the NIH, and this would allow NIDDK to keep pace with inflation and would dedicate money to COVID-19 to study the impact of COVID-19 on kidney health and to make up for costs associated with COVID-19 lab closures. And then finally, the prior authorization bills that are out there. These are the bills, or the prior authorization is where an insurance company can hold up a service happening until they approve it. And these bills would put guardrails on the insurance companies doing this. You can see those are really big co-sponsor numbers, particularly in the House. 284 co-sponsors is a big number. And we strongly support this, as does all of organized medicine. And with that, I'll turn it back to Richard. Richard, would you like me to go back to the slides I was talking about before?
Yeah, let's go back to the LDPA first.
Okay.
Yeah, and thanks, Rob. Real good presentation and overview. But I just wanted to emphasize to everyone that AAKP, we certainly support the principles of this. And I'm going back in history here and sort the objective that Congressman Nadler was trying to get done. So we're pleased that the kidney community and the life insurance industry have finally developed, I'm going to say, stronger and more robust protection language than what is in the current bill. At this point, the process is going to move forward, and we're just hopeful that the stronger protections will be enacted. And just to even clarify that a little bit further, in legislation, a lot of things sound very good, but really the nuances in the language make a big difference in the effectiveness of the bill. So we have spent a lot of time with the kidney community, making certain that the language in the bill is strong enough so that all donors can be protected. And that's very important when you look at some data that would suggest that if something is watered down, there may be some parts or some aspects of donors that may not necessarily be covered. So we're very pleased with that. And the next one is the home dialysis. I guess I refer to it as the Bobby Rush bill. Again, obviously, AAKP is 100% committed to achieving the goals of the executive order for home dialysis and expanded care choice. That's very important. We have not necessarily strongly endorsed this bill because there are some safety issues that we have concerns about ourselves. We work with ANNA, the American Nephrology of Nurses Association. So pays for in-home assistance by staff of the dialysis facility to patients, and that's great. We just want to make certain that the proper guardrails are put in place so that patients are properly handled. And then the question of the role of nurses and some of those issues are very, very important. So again, we're talking about nuances of the language. And as Rob said, this is going to be fine-tuned over the upcoming years in future Congresses. So we just keep our eye out on this and continue to try to push it in a direction that we can make it even a little bit more effective than what we think it is as it currently exists. And the last one, Rob, which I can't remember the name of, let me see. Yeah, I think it was this one here, the vascular access. With respect to vascular access, any patient that is on dialysis understands that that access is critical. One of the challenges that happens is that with the reduction in these rates, that may mean some of the standalone facilities may be closed, and the only way you can get your vascular access done is through a hospital. And help me out here, Rob, because there are some nuances here. So what does that mean? Well, one of the things it means is that many of those that are making the decisions are folks that are affiliated with the hospitals as opposed to the standalone facilities. But for patients, I know for me, my worst nightmare is having to go to the hospital. I don't even care if I have to get my fingernail taken care of. To be able to do something like that at an outpatient facility is very important for the flexibility of patients. So we want to make. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I was just going to say, to be clear, this is in the physician office setting. You know, the ambulatory surgical centers are still okay, although we're monitoring that closely as well. But if the physician office as a site of service goes away, there's no way that some of the patients that were treated there won't be going to the hospital instead. So Richard's absolutely right that that this is a big problem that needs to be addressed. Any reduction in available sites of service for this care is a bad thing and needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and again, it doesn't say that, but that's what we call one of the unintended consequences. If people can't get paid for providing the service, then they're not going to do it, which means that many of these facilities won't be able to stay in existence. So I just wanted to point that out. So this is very relevant. Anything that's going to have an impact on patients' access to getting their vascular access taken care of is of importance. So Medicare physician fee proposes 20% reduction over 4 years. I can't think of anything that can handle a 20% reduction. I don't care if it's over 10 years in a time period where prices are going up. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Rob. I just want to make those few points there. But of course, we appreciate the opportunity to get up there and advocate for these particular issues.
Richard, appreciate it greatly, and I'll say particularly on the vascular access and the living organ donation bill, there is virtually zero daylight between RPA and AAKP on these, so we agree completely. And I will also note that a question came in the chat. We talked about, make sure I get my slides working again, with regard to the kidney health research. A question came in about Kidney X2. We really didn't have room to fit that on the slide. My apologies. But we support the funding for Kidney X as well. They got $5 million this year. I think they went for a bigger number for FY 2022, like 25 million, and they got 5 million. Yeah, but I know they were happy with what they got, and we do support the funding for Kidney X as well. That's for innovation in kidney disease care, so we support that too. So anyway. So I'm going to move on to talk about logistical kind of stuff. And before I go into these slides, I just want to make a quick point about the schedules. Lincoln noted that they're going to be going out later today. Some Hill offices are better than others at responding to the visits requests. And the schedules that are going out today are going to be very preliminary. So some of you might get schedules where, there were, say, 4 meetings requested and only 1 or 2 of them are confirmed yet. These are preliminary, and our experience with Advocacy Associates is always by the end of the time period, virtually all of the visits are filled in. I mean, I think that last year out of maybe 120 requested visits, we missed about 5 of them. So they will all fill in, but you'll get your preliminary schedules today. So beyond that, with regard to the logistics, the delegations are by state. And of course, we have some big delegations and some smaller ones. In the large ones, constituents should lead the discussion in the House offices because that's who they want to hear from, of course. And of course, we've also paired patients and physicians as much as possible. So before you get on the line, you want to gauge the environment a little bit. You're not going to go into Mitch McConnell's office and talk about, extending the Affordable Care Act, for life or spending a bunch more money on it. And you're not going to go into Nancy Pelosi's office and say something about defunding the Affordable Care Act. So you want to think about that before you go in. You can check the sponsorship status on the legislative priorities. We talked about that during Lincoln's presentation. And, prepare your message. Think about what you're going to talk about, where you live. You want to use links to, the health systems and the health situation in your geography. And it's good to anticipate counter arguments. If you think, they're going to say something like, well, how are we going to pay for that? You can say, well, this is a provision that pays for itself, or something along those lines. So what do you do when you're there in the moment? You introduce yourself. You advise the staff you're here to talk about kidney disease, and you tell your story. For first timers, it's easier than you think. The story I always tell is years and years ago, we had a doctor who came into the meeting and who was very nervous about these meetings. And I think she felt like we didn't prepare her enough for what we were going to do. This was a type A physician who wanted to do it really well, like we all do, of course. And so I went with her for her first visit. And as soon as we walked out the door, she said, I'm sorry, I got so upset before. This really is easy. I didn't think it was going to be this easy. So, and what you do is you tell your story. This is here what I'm talking about. We really want to promote living organ donation. We really want to make sure telehealth gets extended, whatever is going to be your lead. And like I say, just tell your story. So what gets a congressional office's attention? Your patients and your physicians, of course, their constituents, your community, what's going on in your healthcare delivery environment, and your ongoing, notice italicized, underlined, ongoing participation and engagement. Have this, if you've never done this before, have this be the beginning of a relationship with these offices, because eventually you can become the resource for them on kidney disease care. And if they get a question about that, occasionally people will get an email that says, hey, we had this dialysis company in here talking about this thing, or we had this researcher come in and say this, and we want to get a reality check on what they're saying to make sure it's right or wrong or whatever. So you can become a resource, and you do that by virtue of your ongoing participation and engagement. So to make the best case, just like anything, keep it short, keep it simple, make it personal, listen carefully, and follow up as much as you can. In terms of next steps and follow up, get the contact information and send a thank you email. Send a thank you email. Absolutely always do that. And if you have a way to CC the chief of staff for the office, do that, because if you get really good service, you want to make sure their bosses know about it. Address unanswered questions. You don't have to answer everything in the 15 to 30 minutes you're going to be speaking with them, but make a note of what the question was. Tell them you'll get back to them, and then you can, get back to them and say, well, actually, there are 20,000 dialysis patients in your state or in your district or whatever. You can get back to them with the information. Again, stay in touch regularly, and please provide feedback to us on on how everything went. So let's see, make sure we're okay. So social media, and Jennifer Raitt from AAKP is going to give us a better presentation on this than what I have here, but definitely spread the word, take pictures for posting. You can see all our @ and our hashtags there, and tagging. And I just want a little credit. I learned how to use icons in PowerPoint only this week, which I know is pathetic to admit publicly, but that's where I found that icon of the little broadcast tower there. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer. Jennifer, are you with us? And you can just prompt me to advance your slides if you like.
Yes, I'm here. My video is coming on. Thank you, Rob. I'm Jennifer Raitt. I'm AAKP's Marketing and Communications Manager. I'm really excited for this upcoming Hill Day, and I'm excited to kind of give some examples of how you can participate on social media. So just to begin here, and Rob went over this, but here are our social media handles. They're a bit different for Facebook versus Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I believe Rob is going to send around this PowerPoint later, so if you need to refer back to it, you can. And next slide, please.
Oh.
Can you see me okay, Rob?
I'm seeing my slide deck. I'm not seeing you.
Okay. I don't know. My camera's on, but yes. Okay. People can see me. Okay, good. So as far as hashtags to use, the most important will be Kidneys on the Hill, which is the AKP hashtag we typically use for Hill Days, as well as RPA Hill Day. And if you have the room in your posts, character count wise, it's also great to use these below hashtags. I am a kidney patient, AKP for patients, kidney advocates, and kidney voter. Next slide, please. Thank you. So as far as social media activities, there's really a variety of ways that you can participate, and any one of these is really great, and we love to see them. So take a selfie, probably a pretty easy one. Just take a photo of yourself, either at your computer, on your phone. It's great to take screenshots in your meetings, of course, with permission. It's nice to just ask if you can take it and get everyone smiling or in action. That's really great, and I'll show examples of these on the next slide. Film a video of yourself, just saying your name, state who you are, where you're participating from, and that you're participating in the May 13th AKP RPA Annual Hill Day, and why you're participating, issues you're discussing, who you'll be speaking with, who your meetings are with, etc. Any information that you want to include that you think is important, and put your own spin on it, put your personality in there. That's always nice to see. Also, reshare AAKP and RPA social media posts. Just keep an eye out on our pages that day. We will be filling up our feeds with posts, keeping everyone updated on the Hill Days. So just make sure to reshare, either by resharing, retweeting. Quote tweeting is also really great, and there is an example of that as well on the next slide. And if you have any questions about specifics in terms of social media how-tos, please feel free to send me an email. My email and Erin Kale's emails are down at the bottom there. Please email any photos or videos, any content to us. That would be great. And also feel free to download and reshare the graphics that we'll be sharing. Anyone's free to use those and take our talking points and make them your own. Next slide, please.
Actually, before I advance the slides, I just want to give kudos to Jennifer and AKP writ large. They are social media giants in the kidney space. They do such a great job. So that's part of why I was so happy to hear that they were willing to give this presentation, because they do so well in the space. And I think it's gotten really good in the last couple of years. There you go, Jennifer. How's that?
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I agree.
I'm just being silly. I mean, it's all true, but I'm just being silly.
Yeah, I think we've really increased our capacity over the past few years, and I'm excited to kind of see how we continue to do that this year. So here's some past example photos from Hill Days. These are all really great because there's a good variety of screenshots of people in meetings, those at their computers writing notes, selfies. These are all really great. I love having a variety of photos to post and just letting people see how you're participating. And next slide, I have some post examples. So this one is from AKP board member Dale Rogers. I love the selfie, and he's saying, you know, tagging AKP and RPA, sharing that he's participating in the virtual Hill Day, and kind of emphasizing the importance, putting his own spin on it. I think that's really great, using the hashtags. And then we have AKP Ambassador Risa Simon, sharing that she's excited for the virtual Hill Day, where she's coming from, who she's speaking with, what she's discussing, and emphasizing her excitement, along with some photos of her in meetings smiling, which is really nice. And a couple more examples on the next slide, please. This is AKP's Jim Myers on Instagram, thanking the offices that he spoke to. As Rob mentioned, that's really great to thank the people who took the time to speak with you, and saying, you know, he was participating in the Hill Day, terrific experience, productive time, and then what he was discussing, as well as the hashtags. And AAKP's Candy Gagny, her first Hill Day with RPA, and AAKP tagging us both. and saying that she's excited. And this is an example of a quote tweet from Rob. So she just quote tweeted his tweet and added her own text to it, which is another really great thing to do on Twitter. And you can do that on Facebook as well if you just want to go off of something that we've already posted. But again, I'm really excited. Please feel free to email me any photos, videos that you take, any social posts that you post. And please let me know if you have any questions. We will be posting on our channel, so please take a look at that and keep up to date. And I'm really excited. So thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Great presentation. Appreciate it. Now, I'm going to close out with a couple of these quotations that people always put up when they're trying to make something happen in the advocacy space. Of course, the classic Margaret Mead quotation about never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And then for you college basketball fans out there, you'll know what this is from. Jim Valvano is a North Carolina State basketball coach who gave a talk at the ESPYs, ESPN's TV awards, really in the twilight of his life. He was dying from cancer, very, very emotional and inspirational thing, but he ended it with don't give up, don't give up, don't ever give up. And that's how this sort of stuff works. You have to just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it until you get some success. You can look back at the immunosuppressive drug coverage bill. That's one place where we never gave up, and the bill we wanted to get passed got passed. So with that, stay connected. Follow all of us on Twitter, although you probably don't need to be told that after the presentation Jennifer just gave us. And the joke I always make is I'll never encourage anyone to get on Twitter, but if you are there, definitely follow AAKP and RPA, but you can follow me as well when there's something like the Medicare fee schedule happening or something real time in the kidney policy world. I will generally tweet about it in real time. So you can go ahead and follow me, and you'll get whatever musings I have on that specific bill that is there now. With that is the end of the show. So I'm going to stop the share. I'm trying to, people can feel free to ask questions. We have about 12 minutes left. And so we did have a comment in the chat that just a comment, Capitol Hill legislators and their staffs follow social media platforms 24/7. They do pay attention. And Jennifer responded, good point. It's a very effective tool. And if you can find the tags for the offices you speak with will as well, do that. I will note that when I do tweets about specific Hill offices, you can just Google what their Twitter, or you can search for it in Twitter for a specific office. And so if you have a great visit with, Senator Smith, look up Senator Smith's Twitter handle and make sure they're tagged in it, and they will appreciate that. So I'm wondering if people have questions, you can submit that to, I guess the Q&A would be the best part, but in the chat as well, that's good. And I'll stay on for another minute or two just to make sure people don't have questions that they want to have answered. And if not, in a minute or two, we'll give everybody 10 minutes of their day back. But recall that this presentation will be available. I have to figure out whether we're going to email out a link to it. And I'll also make sure that the PowerPoint gets sent out to everybody as well. So let's see, just monitoring the chat and the Q&A, and it looks like people are pretty happy with the presentation. Will our first interaction with our team only occur 10 minutes before our meeting? I will say, for the person who asked that question, you might be your team, because the state that you're from, I don't know that we have anyone else joining, although you can feel free to contact me. We can talk about that if that's what you want to do. I'm happy to do it. But generally that is the case, although I believe once you get your information, I believe the emails of your fellow delegation members will be there, so you can start an email chain and have that conversation if you want to do things that way. So again, more questions if you have them. Okay, and I see it looks like there's another one in the Q&A box. I want to make sure I'm capturing everything here. Question, this is my first day. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. Will I be with an experienced member? For the person asking that question, yes, I know you will be. As a matter of fact, that won't necessarily always be the case. But if anyone is doing this for the first time and has any questions about it, you've got my email address on the last slide of the slide deck, and it's rblaser, RBLASER, @renalmd.org. And if you do have questions, you can just contact me and I will call you back. And we can talk about this. I'll call you back sometime next week and we can talk about this and I can answer any questions you might have about the process. Scrolling down to questions. That's it. I'll give people another 30 seconds, and if not, we'll give you 10 minutes of your day back. And again, you can reach out to me whenever you need to ask questions about the process or the content or a bill or anything. And I will be more than happy to field those questions for you and talk as much as necessary about whatever questions you have. So, okay, with that, I think we will go ahead and end the call. Thank you all so much for participating. And we look forward to hearing about how everything went next Friday. And again, if you have any questions, give me a call back. Thanks so much. Take care now. Bye-bye.